Dr. Morse again. Appreciate you again viewing our videos and taking this the world of health on. And remember, we're talking top of the mountain stuff here. There's all levels of health that we discussed before, but I'm taking you all to the top of the mountain. And the top of the mountain is definitely going to be the fruitarian diet. So if you can ever move yourself up into that range, go slowly, but sometime get to the point where you're living on fruits for a few months or a year or something. But if you really want to dig into that lymph system, really hit those fruits. Now, I've got a video coming up online today or this weekend in regards to detoxification, the art and science, because detoxification is your golden key here. And this is going to be kind of a long video because there's a lot to tell you about detoxification. It's an art. There's not too many people in this world that have the ability to really detoxify you. Unfortunately, not saying that from ego, but if you take a look around, the people we get here, we get them from the Hippocrates, we get them from Dr. Cousins, we get them from these people that think vegetable matter is a great detoxifying tool, and it isn't. You will not go far in your detoxification on vegetable matter, and these people are into digestive enzymes, probiotics, and all the crap. And it's not going to turn your kidneys on. It's not going to get your adrenals moving any better. It's not going to do anything for you. So people are spending thousands of dollars here and not getting any remedy, and that's because it's the wrong way. And too many years down the road, for somehow I don't think these people studied all the greats, especially from the 1800s, early 1900s, all the physicians, all the fruitarian thinkers, all the people who really got success at regeneration of tissue, because that's my whole focus. And but this video today is going to be a question and answer video. I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, so I'm not going to be able to get back with you as I would like. So this might end up being a little bit of a long one, so I apologize for that. But I've got a lot of different subject matters here, and we shot this the other day, but unfortunately our camera wasn't turned right. So let me start going over some of your questions, and I hope I can answer them to suit you. And if not, call the clinic here, and we'll help you here. So let's start going over some of your questions here. And keep them coming, by the way. Be happy to make these question and answer videos as we go along here. It does give me a great opportunity to cover the subject matter. You're always going to see me go back to the lymphatic system. You're going to see me go back to the cells of the body, and you're going to see me always go back to acids. That's the corrosive side of chemistry. And understanding that, I get a little more detailed in detoxification, the art and science, and then the lymphatic video, and I have it on my website as well. And so learning how simple that is, you guys will be able to heal anything. There's nothing you can't cure out there. So realize that, and I think I've tried to make that quite evident on that detoxification video out there. We've seen some incredible things. One of these questions was a 13-year-old scoliosis case. We had a case of a quad. He was 57 years old, trampoline accident at 16 years old. C4, C5 quad does give you some upper movement, not much. Major scoliosis to the right. He fell out of his wheelchair and fractured his upper right femur, and it healed in a 28-degree angle, bulging his thigh and pulling his leg up 2 inches. In his 11th month on all raw and herbs, his spine pulled itself straight and the leg readjusted and pulled itself straight again. Now that one made Fox News. That was a pretty good case. But the power the body has to pull that spine back. I will tell you this though, you've got to make sure that you're utilizing calcium. You cannot take calcium. That's a wrong way to address this. This isn't about deficiencies. That concept is way down on the bottom of the mountain. You have to take another step here, and that step is, how does the body utilize nutrition? How does the body utilize calcium? You've got to take that one other step. And the utilization of a calcium is a parathyroid hormone. And that's important here in a nurse that asked me, she's a mental health nurse, and she asked me about mental health issues. When you don't utilize calcium, depression falls into this game here. And this, of course, the whole chakra or the thyroid area is your id, how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, how much you like yourself or don't like yourself. But it also is calcium utilization. The thyroid does a lot more than just keep your body warm. And so the parathyroid, very important. And you mamas out there with this parathyroid weakness, the babies just suck calcium out of you guys, and that's where you get into the postpartum depressions. I think I mentioned on one of the videos Andrea Yates, which drowned 5 of her babies. And if you look at her, she's gaunt, very emaciated, and I can tell you, she was hallucinating, major postpartum depression. So what do medical doctors do? You give them antidepressants. That shows you they don't know a thing about what causes anything. And we got to get out of that kind of thinking if we're going to survive as a race on this planet. Now, you know, we're just bodies on this planet. Remember, you're a soul using your body right now, but it'd be nice to have a place to harbor the body that was halfway loving. So, 2 things take the calcium out of women, and one big thing out of men, and that is, 1, acidosis. When the body becomes acidic from your lymph system backing up. Now, when the lymph system backs up, that's kidney failure. And there was another question here about this young girl with kidneys. I've said this before, guys, on the video here. The younger you are, the more serious kidney problems you're going to have. You're going to see a lot more UTIs and cystitises and things like this. But this controls the whole gigantic lymph system, and this is all your cancers and everything. So you want to take herbs. I have 2 kidney formulas. I would do both kidney formulas. I would do 1 lymphatic formula, and I do a parasite formula just to get the fungus down. You can take antibiotics to heck freezes over, and you're going to make yourself worse. You're not after the bacteria. You're after the acids that's burning your kidneys and your bladder. These are acids, and your kidneys aren't filtering. Well, the adrenal glands on top control that. Remember, low blood pressure is weak adrenal glands. The systolic blood pressure number is your adrenal glands. Your diastolic is your kidneys. So when you have high blood pressure, you have kidney weakness. Fix the kidneys and the diastolic comes right down. You don't take, lost on high blood pressure medications all your life and never fix the kidneys, because you eventually lose them. And this is the problem with medical thinking. Focusing on the effect, that's not curative, that only hurts people, and not where we need to be in the 21st century here. So calcium, the body, think of this as a war between the 2 sides of chemistry. You've got the female base alkaline chemistry, which is the healing regenerative chemistry, basically, and then you've got the acid or corrosive side of chemistry. Yes, we don't like too strong of alkalis like lye and stuff. Yeah, it can burn. But basically, in simplistic talking, base chemistry is healing, acid is corrosive and breaks you down, causes pain and swelling. So, the body uses, remember, cholesterol is the body's main antacid. So this concept there's good or bad cholesterol, that freaks me out, that we're still living in that kind of ignorance. You have to understand what cholesterol is. If someone says, well, your bad cholesterol's up, well, first shouldn't you understand what cholesterol is and what the role of it is in your body? I mean, that would be a smart thinking. And so it's an antacid, and it's all your adrenal steroids. Of it is in your body. I mean, that would be a smart thinking. And so it's an antacid, and it's all your adrenal steroids are made from cholesterol, or at least most of them, LDL, and that's the anti-inflammatories. When you have pain, a medical doctor will give you a shot of cortisone or something. Pain is acid side of chemistry, and you use the base side of chemistry to fight that. Kind of like I spent years in emergency rooms, and when you come into the ER, it is acidosis, whether it's trauma or dietary related, and we hang a bag of normal saline and start cooling you down, backing down that pain and inflammation. That's a sodium solution. Of course, if you're, like I said, if you're a lunger and you have a lot of milk drinking, a lot of mucus in your lungs, it's going to give you pneumonia, because how you detoxify the body is on the base side of chemistry. Remember, that's a cationic experience, and I try to get into that in detoxification between anionic and cationic. Anionic is when acids create a dehydrated, a coagulated type of experience. And I won't get into that too much, but the cationic experience is where it starts to rehydrate the fluids, and then things start to eliminate. You start to have healing crisis. Cold air will do the same thing. You know, when I was growing up in Indiana, they said, don't go out in the cold, you'll catch a cold. And I always wondered why bacteria doesn't function well below 40. That reminds me, someone wrote me a thing on Cipro. Whoever made Cipro and still uses it needs to go to jail. You know, it's killed too many people already. Killed the last lady with anthrax, if you hadn't noticed. And so what they did immediately after it killed her, she said, well, they said, well, we're going to change the antibiotic for anthrax because you could get addicted, or Cipro could become ineffective. I mean, this is the lies, the constant lies out of these people's mouths. Someday we all need to have these people accountable. If not, the Supreme Being will, because karma is a fact, guys. That goes to you federal judges that are corrupt too. Bad karma, not good. Wouldn't want to be in your shoes here. But remember, depression is a lack of calcium utilization. The body uses cholesterol and calcium to fight acids. And if you're a mom and you lose acids to your calcium to your babies, and you have a parathyroid weakness, you can't put it back. You're going to find depression there. You're also going to find bruising easy. You're going to find varicose and spider veins. You're going to prolapse in the breast, the uterus, the bladder, the bowels. You get saggy, wrinkly. That's all a loss of tone of connective tissue. You'll lose your bones, osteoporosis. That's a lack of calcium utilization and the loss of calcium to this gigantic lymph system that's fighting acids for you. So you'll find that I'm going to tie this always back to the same thing. Remember, I said if you might not want to tell other people how simple this is. It's a crying shame. Anyway, someone also asked me about cannabis. Oh, on this 13-year-old girl, just keep raw. I would use a glandular for the parathyroid because this is a case at 13. It's genetic, and not to throw too much intellectualism in here, but you would have to understand it might be your pituitary involved. You want to check her height and her growth factors and other things related to the pituitary, because the pituitary, the head gland, controls the parathyroid and thyroid. So it is possible that we're looking at a pituitary problem. But all raw, a lot of greens and stuff like that if you want to rebuild the body. Someone asked me about cannabis. Well, I'm an old cannabis user from way back, but not for years. But, you know, it's a shame we live, and I think if you see all these presidential candidates, half of them want to legalize this. This is a good herb. No one should be ever allowed to to bar anybody from using God's herbs. That's why I named my company God's Herbs, because the Supreme Being made them. We just use them. Tincture it or use it in a tea like they do in Jamaica. Smoking anything is toxic. Emollient in herbology is used for lungs and anti-inflammatories, and emollent's a good anti-inflammatory. And it does loosen up hardened mucus and stuff. But if you smoke anything, that's acid, and your blood can't be acid. Remember, that's the lymph system's job. If your blood gets acidic, you only have 4 minutes to call your family, tell them goodbye, make sure you find a gravesite, and get ready to leave. Definitely in favor of cannabis, but it's a neurotoxin. And the problem with neurotoxins is that if you're running low blood pressure with weak adrenal glands, it can shut down your breathing. The Michael Jackson syndrome, you know, that's the problem with anesthesia, and I think I did a video on that, how this is killing a lot of kids from going under anesthesia with weak adrenal glands and suppressing their ability to breathe. And they're already suppressed in the autonomic nervous system. That's the autonomic nervous system. That means that's the automatic nervous system that makes you breathe, heart pump, bowels move without you even thinking about it. You suppress that system, and now you start thinking about breathing, heart pumping, and bowels moving. And that's the adrenal glands again. So someone else asked me here, Herbs by OTCO. I'm not familiar with the company. I don't like rhubarb root. Turkey rhubarb is a laxative. I don't like laxatives because of their addiction. I don't like to purge the body, coffee enemas, things like this. No, no, no. You don't try to stimulate. You can't stimulate your lymph system to move. It's simple. You got to fix the doorway. You have to fix the eliminative organs of this lymph system, which is the kidney and the adrenal control of that. And then, of course, the proper chemistry, anionic and cationic, two sides to think about. Anionic is a dried up fluids. It dries up your eye fluids, your mouth, or your knees, synovial fluids. It dries you up. It dehydrates you. Your mucus gets thick and hard. And so you want to get a cationic experience. And so we sometimes purge a lot of things. I know Richard Schultz is one that likes a lot of habaneros and the hot peppers, but you stimulate this mucosa too much, you're creating a lot more mucus, and you just have to get rid of it. And stimulation at that level isn't health. You know, that's old thinking way back in there. So this formula that you sent me with black seed, peppermint leaf, fennel seed, rhubarb root, cinnamon stick, ginger root, cumin, and psyllium seed, mediocre. No, not offense to the herb company by any means, but I've been making herbal formulas for 40 years, and I was sent here on this planet to do this for you. So, you know, some formulas are better than others, no question about that. Digestive enzymes, don't do them, I can tell you. I have had a lot of serious pancreatic cancer case. One of my most serious was a lady who had degenerative pancreatic cancer as opposed to a tumor. And that's the worst kind, of course. It's easy to get rid of a tumor as opposed to rebuilding a whole gland that's falling apart. So she ate an apple. She pooped an apple, basically. And it took me 11 months to bring this case back to life, but I did do that case. That made a lot of news. She was a tough case, and I write about her in my books, but she wasn't digesting anything. No digestive enzymes left. And when I got done with her, and I did not use digestive enzymes, when I got done with her, she was digesting everything. So I took her away from doing any physical activity because I needed her soul to feed that body energy because she wasn't getting carbon from digesting her carbohydrates. So I had to get her from breathing. So I put her in deep breathing. I put her on fruit juices and herbs for the pancreas and, of course, the lymph and kidneys and everything else. And little at a time, guys, I got her back. Major healing crisis, though. A lot of tumors popping out all over her and teeth falling loose and abscesses in her mouth, but she got back. I go over that in my video on the detoxification. Back to life, but I did do that case. That made a lot of news. She was a tough case, and I write about her in my books, but she wasn't digesting anything. No digestive enzymes left. And when I got done with her, and I did not use digestive enzymes, when I got done with her, she was digesting everything. So I took her away from doing any physical activity because I needed her soul to feed that body energy because she wasn't getting carbon from digesting her carbohydrates. So I had to get her from breathing. So I put her in deep breathing. I put her on fruit juices and herbs for the pancreas and, of course, the lymph and kidneys and everything else. And little at a time, guys, I got her back. Major healing crisis, though. A lot of tumors popping out all over her and teeth falling loose and abscesses in her mouth, but she got back. I go over that in my video on the detoxification because it is an art, and don't be afraid of it. There's some really strong symptoms in some people, from paralysis to blindness to all types of things, but those are very rare but can happen. So as I try to help you with that, you know, you'll get strong in helping yourself and your friends. But the more toxic you are, you know, the more problems you can have. Now, this lady sent me this question about urticaria. This is a skin issue. The thing with the skin, think about skin issues, think about allergies, think about all these eruptions on skins from psoriasis and eczema. What is the skin? What role does the skin play in your human body or around your human body besides an outer protection? It's your third kidney. It's you eliminate your cellular waste through your skin. And so this tells me you're not filtering well in your kidneys, and you need to fix your kidney and adrenal glands, and your skin will come clean. Fixing things is eating fruit all day long. And this is what I recommend all of you try. Fruit all day long, as much as you want, as often as you want. I don't care how much fruit you eat, but eat fruits, berries, and melons. Grapes are my favorite in terms of detoxification, but certainly lemons are very powerful, oranges, grapefruit, all fresh, of course. Now, the thing about organic is, where I live, you don't get good organic food, and if you can't get good organic food, at least wash everything with a veggie wash. Anything that's spongy, don't use them, because your pesticides are only going to absorb. And this idea that other countries uses a world of pesticides is misleading, because America is in love with chemistry, and we pour pesticides and herbicides on things. A sad thing, let me tell you. Think of all the years Gerber baby food had, what, 12 to 15 pesticides in them? Now you can get those, but you can get their organics. Now, what happened to man, I wonder? Something strange here. You can cure anything and everything, guys. I don't care what it is, but the lymph system, this isn't a blood problem, this is a lymphatic problem here. Someone also wrote me about he was doing better on with his leukemia. Leukemia is easy to cure. You want to go after the bone marrow. There are some good Chinese herbs for bone marrow that we have here. Clean the spleen out. Get your platelets up, your red blood cells, white blood cells. You can work on some thymus, and you can do some thymus thumping if you want. We do have glandulars for the thymus gland. A lot of physicians don't check your NK cells. That's natural killer cells, but you might want to look at that if you're fighting leukemia. I've got some pictures, lots of pictures to show you, but it's kind of hard to do it in a video. But showing you what they're doing with the kids. The childhood leukemias are easy to cure, and not as a disease. I want this to make known is that this idea of disease is insanity. The damage to cells is what we're talking about, and your body repairs that quite easily, leukemia being the easiest one. But a lot of people, like I have a little 10-year-old here that died here the other day. I only had her a week. And she was bloated and all stripped and red and chewed up from chemo. They gave her aggressive chemo. She's lung, she can take it. She can take an acid. You know, these guys need to go to jail, sit there for about 10 years, and ponder, I shall not hurt my fellow man. You know, this, whoever makes chemotherapy, sorry guys, I'm very passionate about this, they need to go to jail. If you can't cure your cancer naturally at these high levels, then you're in trouble physically, and you might get a new body. So what? You know, people have to lose this fear of death and dying, because it's just moving from one event to another event. We're not trained that way because our religious leaders are fearful themselves. I get a lot of them in here, Catholic priests afraid to die, and it's like, afraid to die? You're just stepping from one event to another, man. But these are people that have never had out-of-body experiences, and they don't know what the other dimensions are like. And once you do, though, and start playing out of the body, it's so much fun, and there's so many worlds, and there's so much beauty and so much ecstasy out there to have. And you don't have any fear of that. So I'm amazed at the people that have so much fear of death. But the leukemia, keep it going. Lots of fruits, lots of grapes, enrich your blood, clean the liver, clean the spleen, enhance the bone marrow. When I use going after things, I today use 2 kidney formulas. I use 2 lymphatic formulas. I make sure one lymphatic formula is a capsule so I can pull into that bowel wall interstitially, get through that bowel wall, not just clean the bowel wall off, but go through that GI tract wall and start pulling on that interstitial lymphatic system, start pulling on that. You'll start to see shreds of mucus in your stool. When that happens, that'll open up absorption That'll help to move all that inflammation out. So if you have IBS or Crohn's or anything like that, that's mandatory because these problems are in the GI tract wall, not on the wall. And so I always go after the endocrine glands, and I always go after the GI tract. So think about this. You always want to go after your kidneys and herbs. You always want to go after your lymphatic system with herbs. You always want to go after your endocrine glands with herbs. You always want to go after your GI tract with herbs. I call that the Fab Four. If you want to kill parasites, fine. Those people with fungal problems and stuff, don't use silver. Don't mess with chemistry. Plenty of great herbs for fungal problems, yeast problems, things like this. But fix your adrenals and quit eating starch. Now, this is the one with the urinary tract infections. Get herbs that'll help you quicker. It'll really help you quicker. That'd be a case where you do 2 kidney formulas, you do a parasite formula for fungus and stuff. But this isn't the problem, this is the effect. It's the lymph system, the sewage that the kidneys isn't filtering. You don't fix this right, honey, you're going to lose your kidneys someday. And this isn't what you want to do. You want to fix these kidneys and make them healthy. So a lot of grapes. Put yourself on a watermelon fast. If you're using greens, you always use parsley, dandelion green, and beet bulbs. You can use the greens too, but beet, parsley, and dandelion greens. All urinary tract, all adrenal glands. Beets also pick up the liver there. Another question here was a gentleman that's overweight, is a diabetic, he has asthma and obstructive lung disease. You got a lot of things going with you, my friend, but they're all related to the same thing. Your weight is more adrenals probably than thyroid, but if you have a thyroid and adrenal gland weakness, you're going to have both problems. And while I'm thinking about that, to this nurse about mental health problems, you'll see a lot of emotions and with people, a lot of schizophrenia, a lot of anxieties. This is the adrenal glands. You got 2 glands to think about in mental health besides the brain and serotonins and the like. You got the adrenal glands, that's the emotional or astral body, that is anxieties, that's the autonomic nervous system. If I shut down your breathing, your anxiety by far most weight is the adrenal glands and the inability to metabolize sugars. And we love starch. They promote starch. I saw that new food chart from the American Dietetics Association. Now, to me, the American Dietetics Association is an unscientific association. For me, they're bought and paid for. To come out with these ridiculous things. They still have dairy up there. Nobody. You're supposed to be weaned, guys, after age 2. Homo sapien weaning of milk is at age 2 if it's from your mother. No species crosses so radically into such a cow's milk, which a cow can get, 900 pounds in a year, and our little babies, no way. So no way do we deal with that heavily a concentrated milk. But if you cook these things, you take an alkaline food source and make it an acid mucus forming protein. That's radical chemistry to the human body. And then they had grains and proteins. Well, the body can't even use proteins. I find that amazing that people push proteins, and I see this in gyms all around the country. I got to have my protein. Well, your body can't use protein, guys. Sorry, so why eat it? It just acidifies the body, hurts the kidneys, hurts the bowels. Number 1, colon cancer, of course, for generations now lung, but colon cancer, there's been report after report linking colon cancer to protein diets, and the kidneys go slamming on proteins. So get away from all proteins, nuts included. This man has a fetish with proteins, and it's a wrong fetish. That doesn't serve. Your strongest animals on the planet do not eat protein. Your herbivores and your primates, they do not eat protein. When they do, they get aggressive, mean, and you don't want to be close to them. The chronic obstructive lung problem goes right along with the adrenal glands. That's the autonomic nervous system. That separates you from pneumonia and asthma on. Asthma on is a neurological weakness. I think I covered that in my lungs and mucus one. But that's the autonomic nervous system. You've got to fix your adrenals, and they sit right on top of the kidneys. You're going to see your lymph system going bad. You're going to hold water and be bloaty from that. That's all all acidosis. What else you got going on here, man? A diabetic, again, that goes right back to the adrenals if it's type 2. Hypo, which is hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia, that's type 2. That's all the adrenal glands. That's sugar metabolism. Type 1, you're going to the pancreas. But then, in one of the videos I pointed out, it can be the nervous system in the pancreas that can give you type 1. That would fall into adrenal weakness, and because that's the autonomic in the pancreas. And here we've got this. In time, you'll get used to all these words and get used to the body, and you guys will be good. You guys will be on, and you'll be able to heal anything. And these guys spending 10 years in school will sit there with egg on their face. But if you can do all raw, do all raw. Mostly when you're real big like that, hard to do all raw. So if you can't do all raw, do some cooked vegetables. You know, don't try to push yourself and create conflict, because you want this to be a happy time. You want this to be a fun time. Remember, you're putting a smiley face on 100 trillion cells. And do it the best you can, because with weak adrenals, you have the emotional component. And if you have a thyroid parathyroid, then you have a self-image problem. And you have a calcium metabolism problem, which is going to give you some depression. So go slow and work through these if you can. If you need help, the clinic will be glad to help you in these respects. This is why I use glandulars, because we're getting into some chronic adrenals and thyroid parathyroid weakness. You always check to see if pituitary, not to confuse you on that. Thanks for the neuroscientist. I'm in love with science. I love science. I don't know what pharmaceutical science is. I call it pseudoscience, because I don't know where these guys come from. But chemistry and physics rule, you know, and one has to put chemistry and physics. I think when we look at chemistry, we have to put chemistry in context with physics. And physics is more holistic looking, especially quantum physics. So important to merge these two with some spirituality. Spirituality sees the world as one, not as isolated entities. And so the intellectual mind sees things as isolates. The problem with isolates is they have side effects. And there's more power, more strength in the whole than there are in its parts. So that's the problem with science. It's important to always keep science objectively and in an observed state, because this biosphere is already here. The largest lab we have access to is planet Earth and the universe. It's not like we create these things. The God already did. We're just in an observation mode, figuring out how it did it. And we need to learn the laws of nature, because especially the strong survive, the weak are consumed. That one applies cellularly too, guys, and that's why you never weaken the cells in your body. That's where virals come in. And I think I did one on viruses and the like. Again, on the leukemia guy, keep going. Dig in with a lot of grapes. Keep fruit flowing through that blood. If you want to pop some greens, but do the parsley, the dandelions, and the beets. It'll help you with that. So I think I've just about answered most of these. I appreciate your good comments, guys. I really do. It always helps me to build me up too, you know, because I'm always dealing in people's problems. And after a while it gets to you, because if you sit in my chair and what you see, what some of these medical doctors do to people, it's revolting. Especially that poor Trevor, where they tied his stomach around his esophagus because he was throwing up, because he had a little pancreas or a little liver and gallbladder weakness. And kids don't deal well on high fat and high protein formulas anyway. This is the problem. We're making all the kids fat. There's no muscle anymore on kids. And so the things they do, Botox treatments in the rectum when babies can't poop. I mean, this is what's happening. They're smoking more than something in the back room. Yes, calcium utilization. The utilization of everything. Magnesium, the whole 9 yards. You're back at the adrenal gland doorway here. and very important. And this is why it's hard to deal with calcium and magnesium, because you have the little brother phosphorus, and then everybody else is related too. Chemistry is already complete. If you can look at chemistry in this universe, it's like a packed room full of people. You can't play with chemistry, and I do try to touch that in all these videos, that don't isolate chemistry and expect to be well. Use the herbs, because I do touch that in this video coming up for you on detoxification and the intelligence plants have. I love that one about the airport where this university, this doctorate female, I love her, where her plants are smarter than dogs. She's trained her plants to change colors when they determine certain chemicals, and she says they're more accurate than dogs. I love it. I'm a plant lover. Being a hermit for a long time, you get to loving plants, and so I have gardens all around where I live, because I love to be enmeshed in beauty and flowers. We need to plant flowers everywhere. Someone told me about they're on Synthroid. This is when you use a glandular. When you take a hormone like Synthroid, which is synthetic T4, or people are on Armour. Dr. Jensen even put himself on Armour and his wife. And when he first came to me with his wife, it's like, guys, you can't be on Armour. It's making your thyroids weaker. And that was famous Dr. Jensen. But, you know, sometimes we get trapped in things, you know. But Synthroid, you've got to use a glandular, which is a desiccated thyroid gland. Think a stem cell type of thinking. This enhances the whole thyroid gland, and therefore it'll make its own T4. The other thing is you want to check to see if it's a glandular, which is a desiccated thyroid gland. Think a stem cell type of thinking. This enhances the whole thyroid gland, and therefore it'll make its own T4. The other thing is you want to check to see if it's a TSH, that's thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. That's produced by your pituitary. A lot of times I see thyroid weaknesses from pituitary weaknesses, and the thyroid's fine. But medical doctors always seem to focus on thyroids. Not difficult to get off Synthroid if that's your goal. But the goal is to make your thyroid healthy. When your thyroid is producing plenty of T4, you're good. And you can get that done and make the thyroid do its job. The same thing's true with adrenal steroids. You don't take steroids. Medical doctors love to give steroids, but veterinarians don't like to. A lot of veterinarian friends of mine won't give animal steroids because they lose their adrenal glands. And look at Jerry Lewis. He's a good example of someone on steroids, lost his adrenal glands. That's a sad case. But these people can't seem to break out of the box. A lot of these famous people, they just can't seem to break out of the box. They're trapped. So I think that, thanks for this about this. This individual said his mother-in-law, uncle, and family friends all died from the use of chemo. No kidding. I'm telling you, these guys, I hope, are being held accountable one of these days, because we're beyond sick. It's regurgitating here. Thanks for the mental health nurse. Focus on health. Focus on health of cells. Focus at the cellular level, guys, because that's all your human body is a bunch of cells and two major fluids. Pretty simple there. Alrighty, I think I've taken care of most of these questions that you have asked, and I do appreciate it again. Thank you for your time and your honesty and your straightforwardness, and I will be here for you always, and we will have a long, fun time the next coming years. So big projects on the horizon here worldwide that I'm working on that could blow the roof off on a lot of things here. So exciting stuff, Disney type stuff, so neat stuff going on here. Just hope it all comes to about, because this world needs a little uplifting, and I know you all need to be happy and healthy. Young guys, you all have to work on your genetics and your health, and but it's forcing us just to eat the foods our body's designed to eat. When I say eat fruit, that's just what your body's designed to eat. When some of these practitioners say eat vegetables, your body's not designed to eat vegetables. Take a look at the design of a herbivore. That's a horse, a cow, an elephant, a rhinoceros, These guys have 4 stomachs at least, some up to 7 to 9, they claim. Their GI tract is 30 times the length of their spine, and they have a heck of a set of grinders because they're grinding that cellulose. Why did we invent juice extractors? You know, to get that out of there, because we have a hard time. We lose energy digesting, and the more functions that you lose energy to, the less you have for yourself. That's why I like the fruits. We're more frugivorish than any other animal on the planet. We're not omnivorish, we're eating omnivorish. So anyway, I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me, and you all have a fun week. I'll try to finish up this video and get it online about detoxification. Tried to make it as thorough as I can, but that's a large subject and a lot of years involved in that one. So I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, but thank you, and you have fun. Thank you.